Tribune-am-ի եթերում
With Tribune AM, we continue program Insight. Today, I will be speaking with the founder of Ideal Match application, Mr. Igor Khalatyan. Mr. Igor Khalatyan is also the first ever citizen of Republic of Armenia to have ever conquered the summit of Everest. Hello.
Thanks.
Ինձ հաճույք է պատճառում ոչ թե ընկերություն ստացված եկամուտը,
I'm getting excited not from the process of getting profit from businesses, but from the process of creating them from the scratch and developing those. This is something you mentioned in one of your interviews. Did you think like this all the time, or did it just start from a certain point?
So when you start a business, of course, typically when you start a business, you need investors, and investors are interested in getting their money back, So it's not completely altruistic, but I think one of the things which attracts me in founding a new business is some sort of something new in science, like for example some new discovery in AI. And that part is extremely important for me. Like it has to be interesting. It's not just for money. It's also discovering something new. And so, I don't know, that combination is very important.
That's the whole story, or there is another like sport interest on that?
Well,
Hobby?
Yes. Well, of course. It's just like when you, for example, planning to climb a mountain, right? You are initially it's just an idea, then it becomes a reality, and then it's typically very hard. But one of the things you want to do is you don't want to give up. You want to reach the summit, right? So very similarly in business, you don't want to give up. Somebody said you only defeat it when you give up, right? Because if you don't give up, you continue. So that is maybe I have also that desire to see it to completion, to see it to success.
So then why do people thrive for stability, like a stable job, stable salary, stable whatever? So most of us tend towards this stability, but you are proving the opposite.
So it's a very good question. There is no such thing as stability in life. For example, you're working for a company. They can close this division. They can go out of business. You lose your stability, right? So, I think people who are trying to avoid the risk, I don't think it's possible to avoid the risk completely, right? The risk is always present in life. So yes, there's a various degrees of risk you want to accept. And that is true. But without risking, I think it's impossible to accomplish anything meaningful.
Mm-hmm. At the age of 24, you were one of the youngest scientists to be invited to work in the United States. Mm-hmm. Then later on, you became the vice president of one of the biggest corporations perhaps in the world, Oracle. When you are the vice president of this kind of company, you do earn a lot of money. What was behind the decision? Like how it happened that you just woke up one day saying, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm leaving everything. I'm starting everything from the scratch. How do people who have achieved certain heights come up to these kind of decisions? Again, defying the stability.
Yeah. My parents are still think that I'm crazy, living position of vice president of Oracle. In fact, when I was working for a large corporation, the first large corporation I worked with in the US was AT&T. And, of course, it's research division, Bell Labs Research. Mm-hmm. And when I left for the first time to start my own company, I can say it in Russian. My mama сказала, ну что, потеряла работу, тебя...
Выгнали.
Выгнали. То есть любая... Если что-то свое делаешь, это означает, что тебя выгнали, и ты пытаешься что-то свое найти. Но это традиционные взгляды на бизнес и на это все. it's again, it's an idea, right? I mean, I remember that day when I was sitting in a cafe in New York, and it was winter. It was, I think, February, and the door opened up, and the woman walked in, and in a split second, I was like out of breath, right? Like, and as a scientist who studied how the brain works, later on, like several days later, I was thinking about several facts which happened. I said, first of all, number one, it was not a sexual reaction because it was winter. She was in heavy clothing. Everything was covered.
What was her face?
It was a face.
Okay.
So, second thing, my brain was telling me in quarter of a second, sending a signal that I'm attracted to her. And my brain did it before I knew anything about her, right? So what it means is that attraction can be separated from the information about the person. Like you may not know anything about that person and still be attracted. So some people, for example, especially women, say, well, how can I be attracted to somebody if I don't know the person? Мне сначала нужно узнать этого человека. Это не так. Это не так. То есть и для мужчин, и для женщин есть facial attraction, который работает сразу. Просто, наверное, женщины хотят в дополнение к этому еще дополнительно это самое, но такой attraction, который присутствует и не зависит от другого типа информации, он абсолютно real. In fact, три типа attraction есть. Sexual attraction, facial attraction, and compatibility. When you actually are liking the person because he has a sense of humor, shares the interest with you, maybe has, financial stability, things like that, right? So those things are three separate types of attraction.
And then you decided to...
And then I decided, when that happened, I said, is it possible to build an AI, artificial intelligence, which will understand whom I'm attracted to? Because if that's possible, then that AI can automatically scan, millions of people for me and find those who I find attractive and who find me attractive, right? And this is the biggest problem in dating, when constant mismatch. You like me, you don't like, I don't like you, or vice versa. That's a constant mismatch. Но представь себе, я сейчас аналогию джина из Аладдина. Аладдин, да? Джин понимает, кто тебе нравится, и летает по миру, и ищет тех людей, которые тебе нравятся, а также проверяет, кому ты нравишься, и просто представляет вас друг другу. А ты в это время ничего... То есть ты просто это самое... Сидишь и даешь джину возможность это... То есть вот джин — это реально AI-модель. То есть ты просто обучаешь своего джина тому, кто тебе нравится, и дальше он за тебя делает всю работу.
Can we choose someone, like, on that dating app consciously? Like, I do like this person, like the face, whatever, but subconsciously, I think otherwise. Is it possible? I mean, the brain is very difficult to understand.
Can you say it one more time?
So consciously, I look at the picture of a man, I say, okay, he is attractive to me. But subconsciously, why I'm asking this question? Because we tend to think that women are more likely to choose their life partners based on their father figure. We do usually say that, and men based on their mother figure. So is it possible that I like someone on a conscious level, like, okay, I like this face, but on a subconscious level, I'm looking for someone who is like my father, or I don't know, something like that?
I want to bring up the Iris dating, the app which we developed. How this works: when you register, we show you a series of photographs, and we ask you without thinking on some conscious level. When the
Just-
photograph appears,
okay.
like you just say like, dislike, or maybe. So it's important to do it on subconscious level, like you should not be thinking very hard. If you're thinking very hard, just put a maybe because you're not sure. Maybe will separate like from dislike. So, by the way, I want to open a secret for you. When you say the maybe, AI basically ignores this rating, you know. It just like, it's the maybe is there. So we have, when you say a like, we are sure that it's a strong like. It's not a maybe, it's a strong like. And if we say dislike, it's a dislike, not a maybe. So, when you're rating, if you're not sure if the thing, just put a maybe. But if you really strongly like the person on subconscious level, just put a like. And here's, I like this process. It's like a magic, you know. In the first phase, we just show you random photographs because we don't know who you find attractive. And so typically women give like to 3% of photos. Like imagine we show 100 photographs and only like 3, right?
Really?
so they're very
picky.
picky, very picky. In the second phase, not right away, but after 10, ratings or so, suddenly you see more people you like. And initially, if you like starting the process, you click like dislike, which is in our case pass, like pass. So you're just passing everybody. And then in second phase, it's like maybe. The third phase is more like. And so in the third phase, you get women like 55% of photos they see, almost half of it, right? So it goes from 3% to 55%, which is like 18 times, more. And at that time, your genie or your AI understands you and can start working for you. But to answer your question, it's very important to do it on subconscious level. Don't think. Sometimes people like think too hard and say, and for example, give dislike, and we ask, why do you give? Well, прическа не понравилась или что такое. Yeah. Well, just look at the face. Ignore everything else, and just see if you like the face. Другой пример. Женщины, может быть, немножко старшего возраста, 40-50 лет, они делают рейтинг и дают дизлайк, там, если, молодые, они говорят, мне нравится, но он же молодой, я же не буду... Again, ignore everything, потому что потом, когда AI поймет, кто тебе нравится, он может искать в твоих параметрах, он может искать там твоего возраста и так далее, да. Так что ignore everything, do it on a completely subconscious level. And then AI
that's
will
the answer to my question. What's the statistics of men liking and disliking, the proportion?
So the men we tell them to be picky, and they still like around 10-15%, initially.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So 3% women, 10-15 men.
Yeah, women 3% at the beginning, men 10 to 15, a lot more. But if we then don't tell the men to be picky, they would like about 30% of women. Some like 80%. Like,
oh, really? Like whatever you show is just the straight like.
as long as she's a woman.
Okay. You mentioned that Iris Dating has around 3 million subscribers worldwide, and there is a vast majority in Armenia as well. Considering that we are a more or less conservative society, and considering that it's not the US and Europe that you want to be limited to, what do you do to expand to societies which are more conservative in terms of dating apps? What are like the steps, the strategies that you do to make those people think seriously about this kind of apps?
Yeah, I think it's already 3.5 million users, and Armenia is, because I'm Armenian, is the only country which is conservative, but we also are growing and trying to be, just because, we are Armenians. We actually used to advertise in conservative country like India, for example, but we stopped doing it because In India, for every woman which registered, there was like 20 men. It was very disproportionate. It was not balanced. And by the way, our app, usually on dating apps, there's a majority is men. Let me give you Tinder statistics. It's 85% men and 50% women. And it's very interesting what Tinder does. So let's imagine that out of those 15% women, there is like maybe 1% which is very, very attractive. And how they know that they're very attractive? They just say, okay, when I show this woman 100 times, how many likes she gets? Like, let's say if you get 80 likes out of the 100, that means your popularity is 0.8. And women are, it's also interesting scientific data, the majority of women is 0.5. Imagine there's like 0.5 in the middle and then it goes down like both like this. So very few are 0.9, very few 0.1. Majority of women are at 0.5. Can you guess majority of men, just popularity-wise, where they are?
So, I don't know.
So men, majority 0.1.
I was
very
thinking
unpopular. And then it goes like very few men are even 0.3.
Oh, really?
Like you have very small percentage of men who exceed 0.25 threshold. Like majority of them are very unpopular, meaning you show them 100 times and they get very few likes, unfortunately, just like so. So what Tinder does, when the men register on Tinder, they start showing those popular women to them, 1%. Average is 1%. Of course, you're excited, there's attractive women, but these women have received several thousand, maybe tens of thousands likes a day. Why? Because Tinder shows them to everybody. So when you give her a like, she does not even have a chance to see your like, just because there's, a few thousand of those things. But you get excited, you stay, you pay, etc., etc. In Iris, our balance, women to men is much healthy. It's 55% men, 45% women. So much more even distribution. And also, we don't work like Tinder. It's very different. First, AI understands who you find attractive. After that, and now I have to admit that I'm talking about premium modes, like when you pay, because it's very hard to do it for everybody if you don't pay. So but our payment compared to other dating apps are very minimal. Especially except for the new mode like VIP, which I'll talk about separately, which we're launching like in a week or so, very, very close. But normally, if you pay even for gold subscription or platinum subscription, what happens is AI starts looking for people you find attractive automatically because it knows your taste, and then checks who finds you attractive. And there is a pick section, Iris pick section. That's where you see people who like each other. So it becomes much easier to get a reply because you are if you're liking a person, if Iris introduced you to a person, it already checked that you like each other, right? So probability of the match is much higher.
Okay. Nowadays, people tend to stay single. And there are some research and some speculations that the Institute of Family is going to be gone soon. Is it something Iris is trying to preserve, or you don't really aim for like the family concept rather than finding the perfect match?
Well, first of all, you're absolutely right. I think close to 50%, especially in Western countries like America and Western Europe, are single. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's healthy in general. But but it's a fact. Now, if people really like each other, they tend to form a long relationship, getting married, etc., etc. We don't do anything specifically to say that Iris is for marriage or for longer relationship. We're saying that Iris is for a higher level of passion when you like each other. Maybe it's just for, an amazing night. But we see that people tend to form longer relationship simply because they care more, like both of them. It's rare when you really like somebody, right? Like it's more common when you are just lonely, you want to spend the night or whatever, right? And you go on, on Tinder or another, you find somebody. But when you actually find somebody who you really like and who likes you back, that is rare. And both parties understand that and they want to preserve it. So we're receiving a lot of emails and thank you notes from even people who already have children, who met on Iris.
With the help of Iris.
Yes. They're sending us their wedding pictures, their children pictures, thanking, I'm very glad.
Do you think that the concept of marriage and family will be gone soon, but with the longer relationships, etc., we'll keep on?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think there is like some trends, it goes this way or it goes that way. Like, for example, you've seen that the United States, for example, for a while, I think it went to this thing, but even election of Trump recently shows that majority of countries still is more like wants to go back to conservative kind of values, and I don't know, like it's hard to say, but I think it's like это как маятник, это вот идет туда влево и вправо и потом как-то в центре оказывается в итоге.
About Iris, let's speak a little bit more and give us a little bit more information, because I think what you are doing is revolutionizing. Does Iris find the perfect match for people only based on the traits of face or beauty or whatever? Or are you looking for a soulmate? Like, do you give a criteria? Like, I want a person who has, I don't know, this sense of humor or whatever. When do you find the perfect match, he's good, he's amazing, but he doesn't have the sense of humor that you wanted in a man.
Yeah.
What you do then?
Okay, let's say you want to find your soulmate. And you don't have Iris, you just do it in real life, on other dating apps, etc. How can you find your soulmate?
By looking, searching.
Okay, so you open the profile, you read what's written, right? Like, do you know percentage of people who lie in their? You're relying on information which is inherently false, like in majority of cases. So the point is, the desire to find a soulmate is a great desire. We all want this. You just don't have a good algorithm to get there. So you have a desire, but you have no way of getting there. So what Iris suggests is this. First of all, you say, I want a soulmate, but let's just make an experiment. If we're sitting here and the door opens up and 10 men walks in, right? You're not going to give an equal attention to all 10 and say, read there, or just ask them about the bio, etc., and then choose the soulmate this way. No, it's not going to work like that. Out of those 10, your eyes will instantly pick one, and you will want to know more about that person, not the other 9. Exactly. Okay? So, what does it mean? That initial reaction is based on attraction, and then you want to know more about that person. That's exactly how Iris works, right? We're not saying that attraction is everything. We're not saying attraction guarantees that that person will be a soulmate, but we're saying that out of the million people, we are shrinking this to maybe 100 or several, 10 or so, and who you attracted to, and they are attracted to you. And now you have more time to carefully read their bio, or maybe even chat with them, find out more about them, and by doing that, finding your soulmate.
Is this system only for dating, or it can be used in other, like I'm a marketer, so in marketing, that would be a dream thing to have an AI that would like tell me that this guy is most likely to generate sales, or he's most likable person for this or that.
It's a great question. So here's the experiment which we did. So we had an ad which had some text in it, some text, which we were planning to put on Facebook. And then we said, okay, let's have 10 variations of this ad, and we're going to choose 10 different photographs which we put there. And we'll see which one works best, right? Normally, this is what people do. For example, they put 10 variations, they launch it on Facebook. A few days later, and after you spend enough money, because you need lots of money, Facebook will say, okay, this has the best click-through rate, this is the second, third. And then so you stop spending money on others, you put all your money on the best, right? By that time, Facebook already wasted a lot of money. We have a system called Best Look, where we upload all 10 photographs, and it says this one is the most attractive, right? And then when we put an ads, these 10 photos, we saw that the click-through rate was exactly correlated with the Best Look prediction. So this means that we can predict ahead of time which ad will perform the best. And by doing so, you don't have to spend your money on the second, third, and fourth place. You put all your money on the first place. So this is Best Look for ad, for advertising. So we have the system, and
and Facebook is going to hate you for that.
Well, Facebook is I think Facebook will make their money anyway. Like you spend everything on, except they don't care when you waste money, right? But this way, both Facebook makes money because you're putting your money on the best performing ad, and also you're happy because you're not wasting money.
Of course.
So next time you do some ads. Let's experiment with this and see which one works best.
Is it free? Like you have to sign up?
Let's talk.
So for Best Look, I was thinking in terms of plastic surgery and the trends that we are having. So every decade has its own trends. Like this is popular today, that is not popular, etc., etc. So Best Look, you can put your photo and it will tell you, okay, well, a little bit nose job or something like autoplasty would be good on you. On the other hand, we keep on with trends. Even if the app would tell me that, I don't know, a little bit autoplasty would be good for me, on the other hand, it's popular and trendy to not to do any plastic surgery. I would go and follow the trend. So how do you make sure that people are following the actual prompts that tell them that they will be more attractive with that, and not following the trends and going with the flow?
I never understood. Like, okay, Best Look always will tell you what will make you
more attractive.
Meaning, you go on the street and everybody says, wow, this is beautiful, attractive woman.
Sorry to interrupt. Then you have Kylie Jenner or Kim Kardashian that will say something completely different, and everybody's like, yeah.
It's just like, you want to be more attractive. I mean, genuinely attractive. Or you want to be, I don't understand what the trend is. I think trendy is maybe that thing whoever did, maybe Kardashian or something, and it was attractive for her, right? But we quite often see situations where the woman says, okay, I see in a magazine or somewhere, okay, lips like, this actress, whatever, I want the same. You have to realize that the same lips on her face
It's different.
May give completely different effect. It may not be good for you at all. And so what Best Look does is says, for your unique face, without a lot of changes, because this is also important, you don't want the best cosmetic procedure is when you come home and not even your mother cannot tell that you did something. Не думаю, что, может, ты просто выспался или это сам посвежел и так далее. Но it's minimal changes. Nobody can tell that you did something, but it's a small changes which make you a lot more attractive. So that's what Best Look is. And you're right. I mean, this is, for example, если кто-то думает сейчас пойти и сделать, допустим, какую-то процедуру, да, с врачами, перед тем, как это делать, можно потратить, сейчас, я, по-моему, даже снизили цены, это меньше $15. Это очень дешево, да, то есть upload фото, и в течение 5 минут он даст информацию, что нужно конкретно сделать для лица, чтобы и можно сравнить, да, чтобы было намного красивее. И после этого можно взять эту фотографию, пойти к косметологу. Причем с этими инструкциями не только топовые косметологи, но даже, я бы сказал, те, которые начинающие и так далее, смогут добиться таких же результатов, как топовые косметологи, у которых там очередь и так далее. Потому что отличает топового косметолога от начинающего? Опыт, что нужно делать. А здесь Best Look говорит, что нужно делать уже. Причем он говорит лучше, чем любой косметолог. Почему? Потому что какой бы гениальный косметолог ни был, человеческий глаз не может охватить тысячи вариаций пропорций лица, так как это делает AI. Поэтому Best Look всегда даст наилучшее решение. А косметолог сделает что-то, что, может быть, сделает вас более привлекательным, если он профессионал, но никогда наилучшее не сможет найти, потому что просто для человека невозможно. Вот, поэтому, да, это имеет смысл сделать, потому что у нас у всех одно лицо, нет, мы же не можем его менять каждый раз, когда кто-то неправильно что-то сделал или неудачная операция и так далее, и так далее.
Plastic surgery, medicine, cosmetic medicine is a huge industry with a lot of millions of dollars being spent every year on these kind of procedures. So Best Look is promoting the minimal of this. Do you think this is going to, when Best Look becomes more and more popular, is there going to be an issue with all these doctors and plastic surgeons for hindering their work?
I don't think so. The biggest growing sector in the United States in the last 3 years, 4 years, is a minimally invasive procedures. Minimally. Meaning, you come to the office, they look at your face, they recommend maybe some laser, etc., and then they recommend minimal injections. I'm not talking about Botox. I'm talking about injectables which change, your contours of your lips, your face, etc. So that is the fastest growing sector. A lot of cosmetologists do that because unlike in the past when the people come from cosmetic, surgery and you cannot even recognize that person, now is the biggest trend is hardly you can tell that person did something.
Let's speak about the topic that is of most interest for me, about your adventures and climbing mountains. So you were the first ever person of Armenian nationality to get the summit of
not nationality, Armenian citizen.
A citizen, yeah. Okay, to be on this. Why are you doing this? Like, what are you? I mean, is it the very tense workload that you're compensating with this, or is there something else that makes you?
Have you tried climbing mountains?
Oh no! But after listening to a few of your interviews, I'm actually thinking about it.
When I was a swimmer. I was in sports. And then somebody came and said, "Let's go climb Aragats." Я не понимал, для чего это делать, честное слово. И мне сказали, ты попробуй один раз, и либо тебе очень понравится, либо ты это будешь ненавидеть. Обычно не бывает середины. И когда мы поднялись, и там была молния, там, причем в шаровую эту самую попали, там даже там сход небольшой лавины, и я потерял ботинок, почти там обморозился, все это было конец мая. Там снега было еще много. И я влюбился. То есть я после этого там каждый уикенд был на Арагасе или каком-то другом этом самом, потом Кавказские горы и так далее, и так далее. Это очень тяжело описать. Это люди делают одну большую ошибку. Они думают, что они могут представить, даже если, может, они посмотрят какие-то фильмы по телевизору хорошие, да, с большим качеством, они могут представить, как это бывает. Но пока ты туда не попадешь, ты не представишь просто. Запахи другие, воздух пахнет по-другому, ощущения, краски другие. Когда, помню, на Арагаце начало солнце вставать, я увидел этот спектр там какого-то цвета такого необычного и так далее. То есть все это надо пережить, а после этого вы даже таких вопросов не будете задавать. Просто будете говорить, когда в следующий раз идем в горы.
Вот так вот.
When you start climbing mountains, of course, it is logical to go higher, 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 higher. In terms of Everest, it's like an obsession. I read so many books about Everest that it felt like I knew
everything about
every meter of the climb. But the question was, okay, but can I do it or not? So you go to sleep every night and say, can I do it or not? Can I do it or not? Then, like, after it becomes a torture, like you have to answer that question somehow, right? Because a lot of people say, oh, sure, I can do this or this or this.
But I don't want to.
It's like, but you really don't know. You have to test yourself. И для того, чтобы ответить наконец на этот вопрос, окончательно ты идешь туда и это делаешь. Потому что мучения вот эти, этот вопрос, на который ты не можешь ответить, он намного больше, сильнее того, что тех мучений, которые тебя ждут на горе. Хотя там мучений, конечно, тоже очень много.
Do know that there is a fixed mortality rate when climbing. I mean, for Aragats, it's not. For a lot of people do not make it to the summit, and still you decided to do it, knowing very clearly that you might not make it.
Yeah, the time when I went to Everest, actually, for every 5 climbers or 7 climbers who reached the summit, 1 died. So it was really bad statistics. I remember when it's very expensive to climb Everest, and actually I wanted to go as a group, but other members did not get sponsorship, and so I went alone. Oh. And it's not fun climbing it solo, but you spend $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 to go to Everest. I spent around 45 because I didn't have a guide. I didn't have.
You did it all by yourself?
Yes, because other members. So I hired Sherpa, who was helping me to bring
the local.
Bring bags from one camp to another. But the climbing was done. Yes, I was alone.
So for Everest, when you mentioned that I did not climb Everest, Everest was kind enough to let me get onto the summit, but I'm never going to repeat it. Are you still thinking that you're not going to repeat it?
I'm not going to repeat climbing Everest, but I just came back from Nepal. I was there. I went to the base of Everest. I looked at the mountain again. I climbed some other mountains nearby. Climbing Everest requires 2-3 months of
preparation.
Just being there. No, preparation takes years, but 2-3 months just being there. It's a lot of time, and also you need a strong motivation to do it because there's a lot of suffering. when you already have been on a summit, it's like you don't have that motivation. But the culture itself, you know, people, the scenery and everything else is I recommend every Armenian just get a ticket. It's usually Yerevan, Qatar, Nepal. Just go there, spend a couple of days in Kathmandu. By the way, traffic there even crazier than in Yerevan,
Really?
believe it or not. It's just like, I've never seen a crazy traffic like that. In Yerevan, I think Armenians are making a lot of progress, but I really want, you know, if Armenians can improve two things, I think we'll be a wonderful nation. Well, three things. First of all, love of animals. I think it's improving, but, you know, please be kind to dogs and cats, you know, that's number one. Number two, crazy driving. You know, you going this lane, don't come from the right and cut me just because you have a space, you know, just like wait a little bit. And the same in airport. Like it's in, in airport, in every, like if you're online, в очереди стоят, да, вот в очереди армяне не умеют стоять.
Yeah.
То есть you flying from, let's say, New York to Paris, line is okay, but you coming to, even in Paris, you're going to Yerevan.
You can tell, like from the airport, you can tell where is the Armenian line.
Yes, exactly. Because if there is a space, like if you're not, like if there's a person in front of you and keep a little bit of distance, somebody will come and stand in front of you.
You do go to banks in Armenia, don't you? Like a woman picking, like, what? How much money you have?
Driving, animals, and стояние в очереди. Пожалуйста, народ, improve it.
From Everest to Armenian culture.
Everest, actually, я вспомнил, что хотел сказать по поводу этого самого, по статистике. Когда я потратил эти $45 000, приехал туда, первое, что мне сказали, что я должен добавить еще $4 000 для того, чтобы... Я сказал, зачем? Он говорит, для того, чтобы для транспортировки вашего тела по вертолету из этого самого, с базы лагеря. Я сказал, ну, что-то как-то не планировал умирать. И сказали, извините, вот у нас статистика, у нас это самое.
И вы заплатили?
Ну да, а что я мог сделать без этого?
Standing on the summit of Everest, what was the first thought that you had? Like, you were there, you did it. I know that you mentioned that you had a depression for 1 month after it, but when the moment came, what was the first thought that you had?
I need to get the hell out of here as fast as I can.
I didn't know. Let's go.
On the way up, I was giving my oxygen to different people. I gave it to a French woman who was coughing blood. I gave it to Sherpas who didn't have suffering. So when I got to the summit, I actually was running out of oxygen. And I didn't want to lose my brain cells, you know, because I'm, you know, doing some math, etc. So I actually spent on the summit, I think, around 5 minutes.
Oh, so it was that quick.
Yeah. I took a photograph, I did the video. I wish I could stand more because it's incredibly beautiful. It's just unbelievable. But I also knew that my oxygen is getting depleted. My biggest emotion was not on the summit. My biggest emotion was when I got back down, and actually a little bit lower, because imagine for over 2 months you only see white, like it's snow, ice. And then when I got down, the first I saw мох, зеленый мох просто, вот это зеленое. На меня так подействовало, я не могу это передать. Это, в общем, были такой emotional release, как говорится, после этого.
Can a regular person without any preparation go and file for climbing Everest, or he will be denied because you need some tests and stuff like that?
I hope he will be denied because...
guys, I have money. Just take me to Everest.
Nepalese government is making a huge percentage of their GDP comes from people who go on Everest, climbing Everest as well as going to the Everest base camp. So they get a lot of revenue from that stream. So it's very hard to refuse somebody who's willing to pay that kind of money. But every year when people die on Everest, the Nepalese government is saying that we're going to make it stricter. And I think they're introducing some rules that unless you climb a mountain, which I think a couple of mountains which are above 6,000 meters, etc., they will not allow you to do that. So I think there's something along those lines. You need to fill the resume, you need to tell what you did. But really, you need to see how you feel on 5,000, 6,000 meters before you go on Everest. Otherwise, you just not only risking your life, but you're risking the life of probably some Sherpas who will try to help you. And by doing that, will risk their own lives. Mm-hmm. So it's very selfish. Don't be stupid, right?
And it's true that they leave the dead bodies there. They cannot
do it because, you can, at that altitude, you can lift maybe 10 kilograms maximum. You cannot lift a person who is, 60, 70, 80 kilos. And helicopters cannot go above 6,000 meters. So if something happens to, like, винт не держит, lack of oxygen, вертолет не может подняться выше первого лагеря.
So the money you were charged for was in case something happened below the...
Or somehow, I don't know, like what. Because the helicopter, если что-то случилось выше 60 тысяч, тебя не могут оттуда забрать. Ты там остаешься.
Mm-hmm. Because I've read these horror stories of the bodies, dead bodies there.
Believe me, when you're there and you see them, you don't even think. You like a zombie. You just go.
What do you do when all your dreams and aims come true? Build next ones or?
All your dreams never come true.
Never.
There's always some dreams.
Look, you are a very successful person in business, and every successful person has had some sacrifices on their way. I'm sure you did, and if you don't mind sharing with us, what was the sacrifice that you did, and the biggest sacrifice that you did on your way to becoming successful, and was it worth that?
Oh, it's a very hard question. Когда еще было, мне было это самое, я не помню, в общем, начиная с 7 лет, во-первых, я занимался плаванием, я занимался фортепиано, или музыкальную школу. То есть у меня утро начиналось так, я шел, помню, в школу, потом я шел в музыкальную школу, потом я шел на плавание, или там, в общем, как-то так. Мои друзья играли в футбол, ходили в кино и все такое. И вот так это все продолжалось, да, так сказать, и до сих пор продолжается. The only thing I do is go to the mountains, to compensate. But I work a lot and I go to the mountains. So as a result, I don't maybe like. Недавно я пошел на Фейсбуке, я написал The best way to spend weekend is Aragат Summit in Armenia. И мой отец написал примечание The best way to spend weekend — это прийти и с родителями провести время. Я один эпизод расскажу. Значит, я выступал на какой-то конференции, там про AI рассказываю, а у родителей участок виноградники и сады в Эчмиадине есть. И звонит мне отец, и я всегда беру трубку, когда он звонит, потому что... И он говорит, ничего возбаваться, Микич спаваться, выступаю на этом самом. И отец говорит, Эли ничего химар банров возбаваться, наитес инч нура, показывает какое-то дерево, где это гранат поспел. Вот, поэтому... Конечно, больше времени с родными проводить, да, это, наверное, это страдает. Это страдает.
What is your biggest fear?
My biggest fear? I didn't think about it. It's like, it's not like I have a fear which I'm trying to avoid. Actually, one of the things, advice, if you fear something, do it.
Happening.
Just do it. Do it. I was very afraid to climb one mountain called Uzhba in Caucasus Mountain. Mm-hmm. It's one of the most difficult technical mountains. A lot of people died there. So fortunately I did it, a few years back. I have a film. So I don't know what else. I'm probably afraid of something, but nothing comes to my mind right now.
That means that not very big are those fears. There are 7 summits in the world that are top to climb. You did 5 of them. When are you going to have the other 2?
as soon as I have maybe 2 weeks of free time, I'm probably going to go to a Custom Pyramid, which is the highest point of Oceania.
Are those easier? Like, those are easier, definitely. So the hardest one is Everest?
Yes, hardest is Everest. Well, Everest is the hardest, the highest, etc. McKinley Denali, which is in Alaska, is highest point in North America. Is the coldest. It's extremely cold. I had
But you did McKinley.
Yeah. Minus 60 with wind. You know, I don't advise. It's you cannot breathe. It's very, very, very cold. Aconcagua, which is the highest point in South America, which I did, is almost 7,000 meters. It can be very windy, very beautiful mountain. Then Elbrus, of course, in Europe. And then in Kilimanjaro. A lot of people go on Kilimanjaro in Africa. I did it actually not a standard way. Там есть плоский такой подъем, а там есть такая вертикальная стена. Я по вертикальной стене поднялся и спустился по плоскому. Там целое приключение было, потому что это было нелегально. Я там подкупил одного проводника, и мы ночью передвигались, чтобы продвинуться к этой стене. И всю дорогу он там плакал, что мы умрем, и все остальное, в общем.
Проводник был местный.
Проводник был местный, да.
И он все равно боялся, что...
Почему там нужен проводник? Потому что там много животных, и у него ружье. То есть, когда ты заходишь в этот парк, тебе дают проводника с ружьем, чтобы, на всякий случай. Вот. Но с точки зрения клайминга он не был готов по стене, это самое, и я его там на веревке вытаскивал, в общем, там была целая длинная история. Вот, но на Килиманджаро я поднялся по этой стене, вот, и осталось, как вы сказали, вот Маунт Уинсон, это в Антарктике. Туда просто очень долго добираться нужно, там где-то на вездеходах или на собачьих упряжках, в общем. Но сама по себе гора, она такая, не очень сложная. И Custom Pyramids — это в Новой Гвинее, которая... Я там много интервью... Это в Новой Гвинее, там, где до сих пор людоеды живут, в общем, в этих джунглях. Так что там другие опасности тоже.
Okay, my last question. If you had a chance to turn time back, what was the one advice you would give to a younger Igor Khalatyan? You're doing everything great.
No, it's not I'm doing everything great. I don't think I would change anything, because even when you're not doing the right thing, you're learning something. And it's almost impossible to, without this suffering and learning, to really feel what is the right path and what's the wrong path. So I don't think I can give an advice, because that younger Igor will not listen to me. he will not know why I'm giving that advice.
But then the younger Igor is the one that led you to being who you are now.
That's true.
Thank you so much
for
this interview.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe to our channel not to miss any program of Insight. See you soon.